Kolko, and I'm the founder and director of Austin Center for Design. And today I want to talk about interaction design. I'm going to try to quickly define and explain what interaction design is, and then give a little bit of a historic context to explain why it matters and why it's important now. Traditionally, design has been about making things. Those things are printed or physical. It might be like a coffee cup or a brochure. And a lot of that came out of sort of historic technological advances in mass production. And so, you know, as we learn how to optimize engineering and manufacturing and make, you know, coffee cups, we can make hundreds of them, millions of them. They were all the same. And so, as a culture and society, we got really good at making things, and that the design of those things was typically called industrial design or graphic design in the case of printed material. And then something happened as things started to get more complicated. It turned out that people were bad at using them because the designers did a bad job of designing them. That's exemplified by things like doorknobs that push when you think they should pull, or coffee makers that you can't for the life of you figure out how to get the coffee grounds in and out of the thing. It seems like the more complex technological advancements that we achieved as a culture, the harder it was to use the stuff that we made. And so, you know, sure, we can fight with the door and eventually we'll figure out that push actually means pull. But it got pretty hard to fight with a mobile phone and get it to call the person you wanted to call. Same is true with computers and software and digital cameras, and increasingly we're starting to find that technological advancement, that computing and computation power in a lot of different contexts where we wouldn't normally expect it, like our cars, increasingly our chairs and tables, and suddenly we're living in a world that's digital. And that's where interaction design comes into play. Interaction design is the creation of a dialogue, a representational dialogue between a person and a thing. And that might be the person in the door via the doorknob, but that's probably not worth an interaction designer spending their time on. So interaction designers typically focus on digital products and try to tame them. They try to humanize the complexity of those digital products so that regular people can go about their lives without getting frustrated or annoyed. And so the beginning of interaction design historically focused on something called usability, making things easier to use. And so you know, you might be able to pick up a French digital camera and actually take a picture out of it without sort of getting frustrated and feeling stupid. And then that became essentially what you might call table stakes, meaning people got really good at that. There's notable exceptions, and I certainly wouldn't say that the world is easy to use at this point. I think we can do a lot better, but generally speaking, there's some people that are pretty good at that, and so interaction designers shifted their focus a little bit and started to think about the more fleeting qualities of products. How can we make products that aren't just easy to use, but that we love to use? Or maybe products that are animated and have their own personality. And so these advanced topics then sort of come under the umbrella of interaction design as well. And in the last 5 or 10 years, mostly in the last 5 years, interaction designers have started realizing this sort of implicit power they have to shape culture. Because the things that we make, the mobile phones and the cameras and all of the different digital products, really start to define the way that we interact with one another. And so increasingly, interaction design is about shifting behavior. When you start talking about shifting behavior, it begs the question, shift it in what direction? And so very quickly you come to the point where we are now, I think, where design is about having a point of view. It's about thinking about a future, a different world, and then doing your job to achieve that future, which requires a certain degree of autonomy, of thought leadership, of curiosity and passion, and also a lot of drive to achieve that vision of how the future might be.